This is the pond that more than likely caused the deaths of 5 of our red dogs in less than 2 weeks. There's another water source that we cannot forget about that may have caused the deaths of those red dogs. Something else I noticed. You guys know what that's from right there? Hey guys, welcome back to Bison. This is the pond that more than likely caused the deaths of 5 of our red dogs in less than 2 weeks. So we're in Pasture 3. Our paddocks, if you guys are new to us, our paddocks are divided into 20-acre paddocks. This is an 80-acre pasture essentially. So this is Pasture 3 pond. Every pasture has its own pond. So this is the pond that I think more than likely had the Cryptosporidium. And I don't know if I'm saying it the right way. That's just the way it looks to me. Some people have sent me messages, emails, and comments about the way to say it properly. It does. That's just my way of saying it. That's how I read it. Sporidium. I don't know. But you know the word. It's right here. We know that that is what has killed 5 of our red dogs this year. And some of you have asked me, what is a red dog? You made comments about what is a red dog. So red dog quickly is just a nickname. It's just another term for a baby bison calf. And that term, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys leave a comment below. That term was given from the Native Americans that were around the bison so much. Gave them that nickname because when a baby bison is born, it is about the size of a full-grown dog, 40, 50 pounds, and it has this beautiful cinnamon red color to it. It's way different. Kind of reminds me of a white-tailed deer in July. So that's where the term red dog comes from. It's different, and so that's what I like to call them. All right, so right now, when you look at this pond, I'm kind of hiding in the shade so you can see me a little better. Come out of it. Oh, there's some fish and stuff. So I used to fish this pond when I was about 15 or 16 years old, and this was a fabulous pond. You know, and over about 30 or 40 years, these ponds change. They start to silt in and whatnot. But what I want to focus on is this is the pond that I was really concerned about. There's another water source I do want to show you that we cannot forget about that may have caused the deaths of those red dogs. The first thing we want to do is point towards this pond, right? It's a large pond. Right now, it has changed since we had those red dogs in here. The bison have not been in Pasture 3 since all that happened. Remember, I let them out. Once the temperatures start rising, okay, once the temperatures start getting into the 90s and stuff, we start getting this algae and whatnot. I'm not a pond guy. I have no idea what to put in here that our bison can drink, and then also what the fish can handle to kind of clean this up. If you guys know, I want to leave comments on how to keep your ponds maintained as far as algae and moss growth. Let me know. I'm new to it. I know how to fish and I can catch bass. I can catch any fish, but as far as pond management, you can help me out on it. So my thing is here, when you look at this pond, we had so much rain in April and May. One of the words that we kind of think about is runoff. I go back now that we've been through all this, and I think about the runoff. We had so much rainfall in April and in May. Something washed into this pond or some sort of drinking source in Pasture 3 where all this started. Maybe it got to the other ponds. Remember, there's one pond in every paddock. So 20 acres and there's a pond here. They were already here when we got the property. Yes, we have coyotes. Yes, we have dogs, our own dogs, Jackie. She may be the only dog that comes down here. Probably need to do some predation on the coyotes as well. From that coyote that Brooks and I saw, obviously coyotes can spread it. They come and they lick the scours. They can spread it from pond to pond if they're drinking out of it. Something else I noticed, and I don't know if this animal can do this or not, but you guys know what that's from right there? That is a waller. Sorry, that's country version. That is a wallow from a wild pig. Those guys pass through this property all the time. It is hard to catch them. I've killed some on this property because feral pigs are invasive and can destroy your land quickly, and in this case, you can tell that they've been here. Now, can wild pigs spread crypto? I don't know. Do they lick baby bison poop? I don't know. High in nutrients? They could. So there's another problem right there. Could it be the wild pigs that have spread it? I do want to go over here and show you one more water source that could have held this crypto. We had the most rainfall we've ever had in April in Oklahoma, really, ever. And then more of it in May. And you think, well, the rain brings so many great things. Absolutely. Look at how much this pasture has recovered. It looks beautiful right now. The bison haven't been in here. It's getting its recovery time. But we've had so much downflow and runoff from pond to pond. Where did this parasite come from? We don't know. I'm very thankful that we do know what the problem is, and we've nailed it down. So how do you prevent it? Lots of people have sent me emails and made comments about preventative ways you can handle this crypto. And one of the questions is, can you put something in your pond? To me, as far as pond management goes, what I've read, I don't know if there's anything you can actually put in your actual pond. In just a second, I'm also going to tell you a recommendation Doc told me, but by the time he told me, we had lost all of our red dogs. I'll tell you in a second. Okay, here is another water source I'm really taking into consideration. Guys, this is a old terrace. You can kind of see it's a little slight hill that they used to cut on these open pastures. It was a government thing that they did a long time ago to kind of capture water from, let's say, on top of a hill. Here's the top of a hill. As that water came flowing down the hill, they built these terraces to catch the water and hold it. And then it would kind of go down to the next level and to the next level. I don't know if it was the best conservation idea. Now lots of guys are going through and taking those out. I don't really want to disturb the soil. It's really not a tool that we're using today, at least we don't. But here's what the bison do naturally with this. What they've done with it is they turn this area into a wallow, a bison wallow. It has been rolled in, it has been scraped, it has been pawed, it has taken a beating, and what it's done over time, since the bison have been here at the Ponderosa, it has got low enough, and it's shallow, but it catches water. Now, this is what the bison did on the Great Plains, and how not too long ago, I did a video, I talked about bison wallows and the environment that it creates for frogs, birds, insects. It creates its own little ecosystem out here in the middle of this pasture. It's great. However, it's holding water. They poop, they pee in it, they lay in it. Coyotes more than likely drink out of this. Other animals drink out of this. To me, this looks like a place that may hold the Cryptosporidium as well. I think it's a very possibility. It is a body of water. It is a small body of water. It is not a pond. This basically was a terrace catch bank that turned into a bison wallow. You guys, let me know if you think this is a possible drinking source that may have caused those deaths from our red dogs. And the reason I point this out, this is the only bison wallow I know in this area that holds water. These were great on the Great Plains for bison. They created their own little environments, ecosystems for other plants, and there were water holes when there was no water to be found on the Great Plains as the bison were migrating through. And so if they didn't want to go all the way to the pond, which is right over there by those trees, they could just stop and get a quick drink of water here. Plus, it's easy for the little calves to walk in here, get you a drink, and keep going. This right here may have been a cause of that. So here's a perfect example of what Doc recommended that we do. Now, when he called me on the Friday during the conference, and I got the report from Jacob, he was basically going through, after he checked with me to see how my red dogs were doing. At that point, we still had 1 out of the 5 left, and it was our 8,007 cow. I call her Little Quapaw. her calf was still alive. Remember Friday morning, we found Peach's calf dead and a little bit eaten on from a predator. Well, Doc started going through and telling me what I could do to prevent it or how to handle it, what we could do. He started going through some things, some diagnosing of how to get rid of this crypto. And this is one of the things that he recommended. He said, you can bring your bison up, at least the sick ones, and you can get a tub of fresh water, tank of fresh water, which we have rural water here. That's what most of our water is. It runs our barn dough. It runs our livestock water systems up here. But this one here is just for our horses. Just a normal poly black tub. Your pretty typical standard water for livestock. He said, get them up here and then get some chlorine tablets. Apparently chlorine will kill that parasite inside of those baby calves and will nick it. Now, you're thinking, Dusty, well, why didn't you do that? I want you guys to remember something. We got back late Saturday night, so Colorado Mike and I got up Sunday morning, went to go check the bison, to move them actually, and we found little Quapaw's calf was dead as well. So at this point, we had lost all 5. The last 2 that we had treated for 5 or 6 days finally just gave in. And I'm sure it's miserable for him. I can't imagine. And we did everything we could that we knew at the time, because we didn't find out what the answer was basically by day 5. Day 6, we had lost our last one. So if we'd have known, and now we know, there's a couple of things. One, we'd have done some IVing. Now, how would have done that? Maybe we'd have had to use the cage and put it on that ATV. There is a method and there is a way to catch those calves out in the middle of pasture that keeps the mama away from you. Maybe that's an option. It's a little sketchy with bison, like I explained in my last video, but it's a possibility. 2, you had to catch the entire bison herd and hopefully get out those cows and those sick calves individually to put them in your corral. So with that situation, the problem is, now do you have space to keep your animals? 2, will that create more stress on the mom and the baby? If we wouldn't have found the baby dead on the 6th day, we would have probably tried to corral her up, Mike and I, and get her up here in a pen like this where you force them to drink that water, and maybe that chlorine would have taken care of that little red dog and nipped that parasite. You can go to every extreme measure, but at the end of the day, it may not work out for you. Those animals may not make it. So right now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, we need to check your other ponds. You need to make sure that there's no crypto in those as well. Well, one, I don't know if we'd have to test the water, which we could do that. We could test the water, see if that parasite exists in there. But I've also heard and read from my vet that the higher the temperature is, I heard that it decreases your parasites. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert. He is, but maybe you've read up on it. Maybe you've seen something. Leave a comment here. I do know that the time that these calves started to go downhill, it was a cooler time, which was odd for us. Usually May starts to get hot. So when you kind of go through things like this in life, you know, and in the ranching world, it makes you think, what could you do better? What are some changes we can make? Just got back from getting one of these bad boys. So if you guys know or have ever seen one of these before, this is a earth moving size tire. Okay, this is a 7 foot in diameter tire, and these are basically old giant earth moving tires that were once used. And what they do in some companies, they cut out the top of this, and a lot of places now, this is becoming more popular, are using these tires for water systems, for waters. And it's because they're tough. A bison cannot bust that up. They're durable, they're long lasting, and they're bison tough. I just got back from Oklahoma City and I picked up one of these, and we're gonna make some changes immediately. One of the things that I've wanted to do here for a long time, and then when you have situations like this, it kind of kicks you in the butt essentially and says, let's go, is I've been wanting to establish clean water systems here. Easier said than done, I promise you. This is not a cheap endeavor. It is not a cheap project. This tire here alone was at least $460. But like I said, when you're in these situations and you want to give your animals a better source of water, this is what we're going to go with right here. Because, you know, instances like Cryptosporidium and the situations at hand, you know, these yearlings are down here and it is hot, right? It's just about 95 degrees or so. What are these animals are going to do down there? They're going to get in the water, they're going to poop, they're going to pee in it, okay? They're going to bathe in it, cool off, and then they're going to drink it. And that's natural. That's nature. That's the way it is. In Yellowstone, that's the way it is all over. And even before we showed up, when there was thousands of bison, millions of bison, this is existing. Now, how did this parasite get in our pond? Not this one specifically. Pasture 3 is back there. You can't see it right now. We're going to start a new water project. We want to provide clean water to the bison. Well, and what that means is you got to spend a little money, like I was talking about. We have to do a water tap, which means you have to get a meter from your rural water. You've got to set a new meter off your rural water, which is where we are. We're rural, right? Our barn dominium runs off of rural water. And so on the back side of the property, you know, we've tried to drill for wells here. And on the backside of our property, we got a meter set. I ran pipe last year and I just about finished it up. And that's why I just bought this tire water, because we're gonna move pretty quick now. And we wanna establish this entire water system. You put a float on this, a float valve, and the bison can come and get fresh water when they need it. That includes the deer, that includes any other type of wildlife that can reach up in here. Birds, you name it, can get fresh water. We're gonna need probably 3 or 4 more here, and it's gonna be a challenge. It's not gonna be an overnight situation, but we'll eventually have some fresh water for the bison. As farmers and ranchers, we do what we can for our business and our families to try to set ourselves up to succeed, to be profitable, to take care of the land, all of those things. We know that when we deal with animals, none of that is easy, and it's not always going to go as well as planned. Whether it's growing crops or raising livestock, we know that this is not an easy industry. This is not an easy culture. And see, I'm not the only person in this situation. As bison producers in Oklahoma, we just about know everybody that raises bison in Oklahoma. We stay pretty connected and pretty tight. I'm not the only one that has had issues. I've got a buddy in southwestern Oklahoma near Lawton that has faced pink eye for the first time. And I can't imagine what he has gone through. We've had those conversations. And for some reason, that part of the state of Oklahoma has had more pink eye issues. And I think a lot of it has to do with our weather and the rain, just like we had talked about. I've got another buddy that had birthing complications and lost a couple of calves. I've got a friend near the Red River of Oklahoma, and they have had parasite issues from their soil, from their grass. And so we all go through these challenges together. And just like I said in my last video, ranchers figure things out. They work to make things better, and they're just tough and resilient people. And for these animals, these are tough animals, and we're gonna do everything we can to make them better. So this is for the farmers and ranchers out there. My point is I feel like, as far as a YouTube channel, I love spreading the education about raising the American bison. In a YouTube video world, whether you're an influencer or anything like that, or a viewer, people love drama. People love the catchy stuff. Farmers and ranchers do not like the drama. I promise you. Obviously, no farmer or rancher wants a death. But I have this feeling that we were put in this position so that we could educate people. And that's the positive I try to take out of it, is whether, you know, random things happen, just like my other friends in other parts of Oklahoma are having issues. I feel like this happened here for a reason, so that I could pass that along to other cattle ranchers, bison ranchers, and try to help others in what they're doing to be better and to pay attention and try to help their animals as much as they can and avoid situations like this. So those are kind of my beliefs. Is I think things happen for a reason, and I am lucky and blessed to be able to share that. And not that anybody wants to deal with this, but I am lucky to be able to share it to the viewers, to you guys that follow us along, and also to the people that are actually in there ranching and doing the daily work like we are. And whatever livestock animal it is, this can apply to any of those livestock animals. And that's just one of the many things that we can face as ranchers. Of course, it's been going on for hundreds of years, and so it's a challenge that we all have to face, but that's part of ranching, right? And so that's from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for following us along. Thank you for being a part of the ups and down journey of raising the American bison, and all your comments, emails, and inputs. We'll see you guys soon. We're gonna keep on bison ranching.